Hi everybody. We're going to do our next lesson, and it's going to be lesson 14-2, area and units. You're going to need your hardcover book, and you're going to need a ruler that has inches and centimeters on it. And if you want to hit pause to go grab those things, you could do that. Okay, so we're going to be talking today about appropriate units of measure for various things. Okay, we've talked about this before. If you're measuring a small thing, you need a small unit of measure. If you're measuring a big thing, you need a big unit of measure. Okay? If I want to measure the desk, which is relatively small, I might use feet or inches. I'm not going to use miles. If I'm measuring how far it is from school to my house, I would most likely use miles. Inches is going to be quite a humongous measurement and very hard to measure, right? Okay, you guys already know that. That's kind of common sense. We're going to be talking here in the first example about a bookmark. Okay, I want you to think of a bookmark. What are you probably going to use to measure a bookmark? Inches, feet, miles. Okay. I want to give you another measurement. We've only talked about this a little bit, and that is centimeters. Okay. We've talked about how it's just a different unit of measure. A centimeter is quite a bit smaller than an inch. So if you're measuring something very small, you might want to use centimeters. Okay? So I want you to look at your ruler. On your ruler, let me see if I can show you mine. On your ruler, you've got inches on the top for mine, and I've got centimeters on the bottom. Okay? It can be a little bit confusing with rulers because this little spot actually right here, the inch doesn't start until that line. So this is kind of some extra here. So from that line to the 1 is 1 inch. From that line to there is 2 inches, 3 and 4. Okay. Now if I flip it over, I can see 1 inch here is only about that big. Whereas 1 inch here is about that big. So it's quite a bit different. And you could even get even smaller than that, and instead of centimeters, you can have millimeters if you've got something really tiny to measure. And so it is useful. Let's say I was measuring, I don't want to do that. Let's say I was measuring the width, how wide this pencil is. I hope you can see that. Okay, that's pretty small, and an inch isn't really going to be a great unit of measure for that because it's so much smaller than an inch. Okay, but if I look, and it's even smaller than a centimeter, it's maybe about 3/4 of a centimeter. Okay. Okay, so we really just have to use common sense to figure out, is it a tiny thing or is it a big thing? Okay, I want you to read this first question with me, and we're going to try and figure out what unit of measure do we want. Do we want the centimeter or do we want the inch? Okay, this guy wants to make a bookmark. So I want you to look at your ruler, okay? He's trying to decide if he wants to use centimeters or inches for his ruler. And he is going to make it 20 square units. You remember a square unit, right? Square unit meaning that it's the same distance this way as it is this way, okay? We learned that yesterday. So look at your ruler and decide if it's going to be 20 square units. On your ruler, you've got 12 inches. So that's a little more than half of 20. What would you think about a bookmark this big? Is that pretty big? And now imagine that it's not 12, but 20. Is that a pretty big bookmark? Is that a normal size bookmark? Probably not. So let's look then at centimeters. Would it make more sense for him to make his bookmark 20 square centimeters? Most likely would, because 20 square inches is going to be quite big. What if it was 20 square feet? That would be even bigger, right? Just doesn't make sense. So that's what we're going to be looking at, is what would make the most sense for the measurement, okay? All right, so let's keep that ruler, and let's look at number 1. You'll just want a piece of paper, maybe loose leaf paper, something like that. Number one, draw 1 square centimeter. Okay? Now, I'm going to draw it here, and it's going to be so itty-bitty, you're hardly even going to be able to see it. Let me erase this. Okay? But if I was going to do 1 square centimeter, I would measure that centimeter all 4 ways. North, south, east, and west. Okay? So this is my tiny little square centimeter. Now I'm going to do the square inch for number 2. Just so I can remind myself really how different they are. One is really considerably bigger. Okay, square centimeter, square inch. Okay, draw a square with sides that are 2 centimeters long. What is the area of the figure? Okay, so let's do 2 centimeters. Draw a square, so there's a keyword right there, right? Draw a square that is 2 centimeters with sides that are 2 centimeters each. Okay, well it said sides, but I know it's a square, so I know that all 4 are going to be exactly the same. Square was a key word. And of course, it's not going to be perfect. That's okay. We're doing the best we can. Okay? So if this is 2 square centimeters and this is 2 square centimeters, of course I know the rest are, what is the area? Well, if I'm thinking about how many square units it's going to take to cover that shape, I've got 2 here and I've got 2 here. So if I get my Cheez-Its out, if they were that teeny tiny, how many would it take? Well, 2 times 2 times 2 equals 4, because area equals length times width, right? We learned that yesterday? Okay. And if you ever start to get behind or confused, that's kind of the nice thing about this, is that you can hit pause, you can rewind, you can listen again. Feel free to do that, because it's a little bit harder for you to ask me questions like this, although I would really love to get emails if you do have questions, but please listen to it again if you need to, because that's the best way to clear up any questions, hopefully. All right, let's go to number 4. Which of these shapes has an area of 5 square centimeters, and how do you know? Okay, so here's your square centimeter, okay? Square meaning 4 sides are all the same. The unit is centimeter. All right, so which one has an area of 5 square centimeters? All right, let's see. In this case, we can't really do our multiplication. What I'm going to think back, we could, but we haven't learned that yet. What I want to think back on is, how many square units does it take to cover that shape? Okay, if I had this, kind of like I have one of these, okay, that mine's a little bit bigger, but how many would it take? Let's see, it would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now, they're trying to trick you a little bit here. Look at this size and look at this size. Is this the same size? Not quite. So, it looks like I just got an email. Let's see if I can get, oh, it's gone, okay. So, is this going to be a square centimeter? No, because this is what it's showing you. This is your key, okay? So, it's going to be this one. And how do I know?